Something is changing the golf access market here in Cape Coral, and if you're waiting for the headlines to tell you, you'll already be too late, because the earliest signs of a market shift, they don't show up on Zillow, they show up in buyer behavior. And over the last few weeks, I've had a pattern I haven't seen in a long time. Clients who've been watching the market for years are suddenly calling and saying, Barry, we're ready, let's go. Now at the same time, interest rates are coming down. Inventory is substantially lower than it was 1 year ago, and the golf access segment is quietly moving back toward a neutral market, a place where momentum can swing fast. Now this is exactly how shifts begin, not with chaos, not with bidding wars, but with informed buyers stepping in before everyone else realizes the window is closing. Right now, buyers still have leverage, but fewer options. Sellers still have competition, but far less than last year at this time. And when those two realities collide, the balance changes quickly. So the question isn't whether the golf access market is moving, it's whether you're paying attention early enough to benefit from it. Now in this January update, I'll break down what the MLS is showing, what buyers are actually doing behind the scenes, and what this moment means for you. And if you're thinking about buying, selling, or simply want to understand where this market is headed before the window narrows, now is the time to schedule your complimentary video call with me. Go ahead and click the link below. I'm Barry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront Realtor, and this is your Golf Access Canal Homes Market Update for January 2026. Welcome to the Cape Coral Market Update for Golf Access Homes here in Cape Coral, January 2026. My name is Barry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront Realtor, and we've got a lot of great information to cover. Now, I'm really excited to jump into this one because things are shifting here in the city of Cape Coral. Even though the headlines are talking about how things are falling apart, we have too much inventory, all those numbers, all those statistics are old data. That's from last spring when inventory was out of control. We've dropped substantially since then, so we're going to dive into that and go over what those numbers mean for buyers and sellers. So let's go ahead and jump right in to the market update for golf access homes here in the city of Cape Coral, January 2026. Market indicators, we have to understand what the numbers mean. So inventory, this is how many homes are currently available on the market. This is our supply. More supply means lower prices. Less supply means prices start to go back up. Think eggs. When we had the shortage of eggs last year, not a lot of chickens laying eggs, prices went up substantially. Well, as we see our inventory start to decrease, that's likely that prices are going to start to increase as long as we have that buyer demand. Median price point, this is the median price point. So 50% of the homes sold above this amount, 50% of the homes sold below this amount. Days on the market, how many days are homes sitting on the market before going under contract? And then closed sales. How many homes are actually selling in the city of Cape Coral? This is really important to understand. This shows us what the buyer demand is. If we're selling a lot of homes, that means there's a lot of buyers here buying. If we're not selling very many homes, then obviously we don't have a lot of demand. So we're going to jump into that as well. First up, active inventory. How many homes do we currently have available here in the city of Cape Coral? Now these are single family golf access canal homes here in Cape Coral. We have 614 currently available on the market ready for you to purchase. September 2025, we had 601 available, and then December 2024, 1 year ago, 748 homes available. Now we're seeing a huge shift in that we don't have as many homes ramping up as we did last year. Typically around November, December, January, we see a lot of homes hit the market. So we see the inventory increase rapidly and substantially. However, this year, that's just not happening. Where we were at last year, our numbers dropped quite a bit. And you can see through the chart here where we were at last December, we were at 748 homes available. This year, we're only at 614, so that's a much smaller number. As we got into season, January and February, we peaked, and then we sold some homes, but a lot of homes actually came off the market because they didn't sell. A lot of the sellers were expecting or had higher expectations than what the market would give them for their home, so they said enough's enough. I'm not going to sell for those lower price points. I'm just going to pull my home off the market and wait, and that's what happened. And so as we went into June, July, August, September, we saw that number decreased substantially. Also, builders slowed down. We're not seeing as many new homes hit the market right now. So builders are holding back. They weren't making their margins. They said, we're not going to take the loss. So we're just going to hold off as well and let the market correct a little bit. So inventory hasn't been increasing in new home supply either. But as you can see here, we dropped quite a bit. And last year, we had a big bubble. We just shot straight up with the inventory. This year, we've increased a tiny bit since September, but not much at all, which is great if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, you have some time, but you might want to pay attention as supply starts to decrease. That means prices will start to increase. So median price point currently right now, December 2025, $770,000 for a Gulf Access Canal home here in the city of Cape Coral. That's the median price point. So 50% sold higher than that, 50% sold lower than that. September 2025, $675,000. So this was just a few months ago. So we can see a price increase. Now I don't get too excited on this unless it starts to go for a few months. So let's take a look. December 2025, $805,000 was the median price point for a Gulf Access Canal home. This was actually the highest price that we've had since January of last year. What we're starting to see now is we're starting to see prices start to increase October, November, December. We're still going to see this number. I don't think we're going to increase rapidly because we've always been right around this $750,000 range for Gulf Access Canal homes for the last 3 years. But once it starts ramping up, once we start to see a pattern of prices increase, which because supply is so low, we may see that start to happen here as we get into the season. We're currently in January right now, and season really picks up. We start to see a lot of homes go under contract towards the end of January, February, March, and April. All right, days on the market. December 2025, 59 days on the market. September 2025, 91 days on the market. In December 2024, 1 year ago, 47 days on the market. So now this is how many days it took for the home to go under contract. One of the reasons we were so high last year and into the summer is because we had a lot of people put homes on the market that just weren't competitive. Either they needed a lot of work, they were outdated, and they were priced much higher than what the market would pay. So they just sat on the market for several months, driving up the overall days on the market. Now, if a home was strategically priced, it was in great shape, maybe didn't need a lot of work, or it was very minimal, those homes were selling rather quickly. However, the reason that we have had such high numbers the last probably 2 years is because of homes sitting on the market for so long that we're just not competitive. The sellers were looking for astronomical prices. They were looking for those prices back in 2022 and they weren't getting them, and they just left them sit on the market. Now those homes are starting to fall off the market. People are pulling them off. They're not letting them sit there anymore, and we're starting to see the days on the market start to slope down. As you can see where we were at September, October, November, December, we're sloping down. I expect us to stay pretty low as we go into season. We're not going to shoot up like we did quite like last year, just because that inventory is not there like it was last year. People are pricing it more accordingly now, and those homes are selling quicker than they were 1 year ago. Now, closed sales. How many closed sales do we have? Now, this one is where it gets a little bit exciting, a little bit intense, depending on if you're a buyer or seller. But either way, you need to pay attention to what's happening here in the Cape Coral market. Sales, December 2025, we had 89 closed transactions for Gulf Access Canal homes in the city of Cape Coral in December 2025. 89. September 2025, 66. 1 year ago, December 2024, just 50. Now, I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to understand that buyer demand has increased. Almost 40 more homes, almost double the amount last year that we had this year. So buyer demand is increasing. So inventory is dropping, buyer demand increasing. If we look here, closed sales last year, January 2025 was one of the worst months I've seen in years for closed sales. I think this January, from what I've seen and the buyers are coming back into the market, we're going to see a substantial shift. We're going to see quite a bit more home sales in January 2026 than where we did 2025. Substantially more. I'm excited to go over those numbers once they come out and hit the market here at the first part of February. But anyways, really make the point, drive it home. A lot more buyer demand right now than we had last year. All right, months of inventory. This is another one that really gets me excited because this tells us exactly the health of the market, what's happening. Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? Or are we in a neutral market? So anywhere between 4 and 6 months is considered a neutral market. Below 4 months is considered a seller's market. That's where we were at 2021, 2022. And then once we got into the end of 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, we've been in a seller's market. Will we maintain that seller's market? Well, we're shifting rather rapidly, and we've been shifted. If you look at let's first jump in here. So months of inventory currently right now for Gulf Access Canal homes in the city of Cape Coral, 6.9 months. That means if not another new home hit the market, it would take us almost 7 months to completely sell out the inventory we have available. So that puts us in a buyer's market. September 2025, 8.9 months of inventory. 1 year ago, based on buyer demand, and the inventory we had was 15 months of inventory. That's a huge shift. We don't have the inventory like we did last year. We're still sitting in a buyer's market, but sellers are not negotiating as much as they were 1 year ago. However, they're still negotiating. So if we look down here in months of inventory, what you can see is last year we just had so much inventory hit the market. The buyers weren't there. We jumped straight up. We did have a strong end of the season once we got into March, April, May, and we started to see it lower a bit. And then typically when it increases once we get into August, September, October, because those are our slowest months of the year. We don't have as many buyers here, so our inventory starts to increase. Just didn't happen. It increased a bit there in November, and then we dropped right back down in December because we had so many buyers here. Are we going to jump up again once we get into February, March, April like we did last year? Absolutely nothing like last year. We may jump just a bit if we can get more inventory on the market, but that inventory is not there, and the buyers are coming and they are buying. They're making offers. They're getting great deals right now. So as that starts to shift, as we get into the yellow line, that's our neutral market. We're going to see less opportunity for buyers and more opportunity for sellers. Certainly not a seller's market right yet, but we're definitely on the border. All right, other key numbers to be aware of: sold price per square foot, $377 a square foot for a single family Gulf Access Canal home here in Cape Coral. List price received, 95.6%. We've seen this increase. So basically the sellers are giving about a 3.5% discount. Actually, I'm sorry, 4.5% discount off of what they off the list price. That number has come up in the last several months. Like last summer, that was down around 93, 94. So we're not seeing as big of discounts. That's a sign that prices are starting to level out or potentially starting to increase. New listings. We only had 137 new listings come to the market in December 2025. Last year, that was over 200. So that number, just no new listings coming to the market, not near as many as last year. And then we already talked about months of inventory, 6.9 months of inventory here in Cape Coral for Gulf Access homes. Buyer demand is up. Inventory is down. Let's compare. So let's look at the Southeast, Southwest, and Northwest markets. We have quadrants here in Cape Coral, and our Gulf Access Canals homes sit in these three quadrants: Southeast, Southwest, and Northwest. Southeast is where downtown Cape Coral is at. It's where the Cape Coral Hospital's at. That area there along Del Prado, Santa Barbara. And a lot of the older area is in that area, but a lot of opportunity for some great opportunities. Now, there definitely are some new homes spread out, and a lot of people are going in and buying the really old homes, the tiny ones, knocking them down and building little mansions near the yacht club area in Southeast Cape Coral. But median price point was $600,000. That did come up from last month. Homes sold, 35 homes sold in Southeast Cape Coral. Homes available, 223 homes available. Months of inventory, just 6.4 months of inventory. We are starting to see, I bought my house in Southeast Cape Coral just a few months ago. I felt it was time for me and my family to buy another house here in Cape Coral. The market was where it needed to be. So we got our Gulf Access Canal home here. And we were looking at the price that we paid for it and how I was able to negotiate that and get a pretty good deal. And I was looking for other homes similar to what we were able to buy here, the same price point, and it's just not there now. The inventory has started to shrink, and those opportunities are starting to dry up. There's still some out there if you know where to look, but where we were at even just a few months ago, we're not seeing as good of opportunities now. And if you wait much longer, I fear that those opportunities may shrink even further. But months of inventory, 6.4. Let's get into Southwest. Southwest Cape Coral is where the Weston's at, where we have Cape Harbor, lots of great little boutique shops and restaurants right on the water. We typically see higher price points here, and this is because it's a newer area. The homes here were primarily built in the 1990s, early 2000s. The lot size is the same throughout Cape Coral, typically about 1/4 of an acre. But what you're seeing in Southwest Cape Coral is newer, larger homes. Some of the building codes changed, how large they had to build their house changed. So there are different stipulations if your home is on a Gulf access canal or on a street where it's across the street, or your lot is across the street from a home that's on a Gulf access canal. It has to be a certain size. So we see larger homes through here. We see nicer landscaping, lots of those royal palms line the streets. A really desirable area is in Southwest Cape Coral. Still easy access to get to the downtown area. The Surfside area is in Southwest Cape Coral. Median price point was $850,000. Homes sold, 39 homes sold. Homes available, 268 homes currently available, and months of inventory, 6.9 months of inventory. Now, 1 year ago, we actually had over 400 homes available for sale in this area when we got into season. So currently this year in Southwest, we're sitting at 268. Last year, over 400 homes available. That number has changed substantially as well. Northwest Cape Coral. Now, this is the area in the very northwest part of Cape Coral along the Burnt Store Road area. It's all the homes west of Burnt Store Road, because once you get east of Burnt Store Road, you start to get into the freshwater canal homes. But everything west is typically going to be saltwater canal, depending on unless you go extremely far north. But the western part of Burnt Store Road is going to be Gulf access canal homes. Median price $900,000. Homes sold, 15 homes sold, which that was another number that jumped. We were sitting around 11, 10. We jumped to 15 for December 2025. Homes available, 109. Months of inventory, 7.3 months of inventory. Now, this is a newer area, so a lot of the homes that sell in that area are brand new construction. They sell for over $1 million. Beautiful homes on Gulf access canals, easy access out through Matlacha Pass. And also, this is where they're building the Seven Islands development, which is going to be a huge area up there. They've got the, you're going to have lots of restaurants, hotel, condos, a marina. And then right north of that is the brand new Tropicana Park that's nearing completion as we speak. So overall, what we want to see in the market is, if you want southeast, that's going to be your most convenient. That's near the bridges, get you over into Fort Myers quicker. Southwest is going to be a little bit larger houses, more mature area, and then northwest is going to be more your opportunity. It's a lot of more vacant lots up in that area, although they are getting built on quicker and quicker. There is still a lot of vacant lots up in that area, but you are seeing a lot of new construction, newer homes there. Okay. Other key numbers to be aware of, and this is what dictates the market as well, the overall market. So inflation peaked at 9.1% back in June 2022. We're currently sitting at 2.7%. We did go up to about 3%, just over 3%, but now we're back to 2.7%, which is a great sign because we want that number to be below 2% in order to get those interest rates down. Interest rates are coming down. In November 2023, we peaked at 8.01%. We're now sitting at 6.14%. Now that's going to be the average 30-year mortgage. I've read the news, and they're saying that rates are below 6% now. However, the average is still right around 6.14%, and it's trending lower. For months, I said if it gets below 6.5%, we're going to start to see that buyer demand pick up. We are seeing that buyer demand pick up. If we get below 6% for any length of time, it's going to really change things here in the Cape Coral area. And we're talking about, I think it's going to be in May when the Federal Reserve changes hands, and that could certainly impact what we see happening even further into the summer and fall. Unemployment is at 4.4% and staying steady. Now, we have actually seen an increase of unemployment over the last few months. For the last 3 or 4 years, well, I should say the last 3 years, we were sitting right around 4%, 3.8%, 3.7%. We are over 4% now, and we are starting to see that increase just a bit, which of course, when unemployment increases, that means an unstable economy, which then means interest rates start to become lower, which gives more opportunity for buyers. Current supply. So currently we have 614 Gulf access canal homes available on the market for purchase right now. These are active listings. Year over year decrease of 17.9%, 18% decrease year over year. That's huge. So those homes they're gone. Builders stop building, and people that had higher expectations for what they wanted to get their homes sold for have taken their homes off the market, and they're going to wait for the market to turn and go back up again before they decide to sell. Demand. Cape Coral has huge demand. We're currently estimated at 240,000 people living here in the city of Cape Coral. 5 years, we're expected to hit 260,000. We'll actually probably go over that, especially if the market turns and we start to really jump again. We're going to see that number explode. By 2050, we're at 320,000 people. We're often ranked as one of the fastest growing cities in the country because we have such a great way of life here. A lot of affordability as well as beautiful properties. And one of the things that I just read an article on a few days ago, it talked about how Cape Coral was one of the safest cities in the United States. Over crime, for just crime reasons, we're at a number 11 in the entire country for larger cities in the United States. In the whole state of Florida, we rank number 2 for overall safety. They don't just look at crime, they also look at financial stability. They looked at like environmental impacts, things like that. So even with all those things put in, we still ranked number 2 in the state of Florida, which is pretty impressive. But people often ask me, is Florida safe, Barry? Or I'm sorry, is Cape Coral safe, Barry? And we just ranked number 2 for safety in the entire state of Florida. All right, is now the time to buy. Again, like I've been talking about for the last several months, I believe the opportunity is there. Supply is increasing, but ever so slightly. However, buyers are coming, so we're going to see buyer demand really start to increase through February, March, April, May. So as of right now, we still have supply, but we do have buyers coming in, which is going to start to whittle that supply away. Where will you be this winter? Really, the question is, I know you've been probably putting it off, saying, Barry, I'm waiting until the perfect time to buy. Well, I think we're really close to that perfect time to buy because numbers are indicating as inventory shrinks, buyer demand increases, and interest rates drop. That tells me that we're starting to see a huge shift in the market. So I believe that the buyers are going to start coming, they're still getting opportunity. I think they're going to get opportunity for the next few months. But we're going to shift into that neutral market. I don't think we're going to be in a seller market for several months still, but we are going to shift into the neutral market, where that takes a lot of leverage away from the buyer once you're in a neutral market. So if you like to leverage, you want to have that ability to get those great deals, like I've often talked about and what I've found for my clients oftentimes, you definitely want to take advantage fairly quickly. So go ahead and book that strategy call with me. You can click that link below, set up that strategy call. Let's talk about what your goals and dreams are. Let's find the perfect property for you here in Cape Coral. Because again, where will you be this winter? Why do you want to keep dealing with the cold, the snow, scraping the windshields, slipping on ice? Just not fun. I moved here, well, it's been 13 years now, and I have never looked back. I hate the cold weather, I hate the snow, and it's perfect for me. Sellers are willing to negotiate still. So take advantage of that opportunity, take advantage of that leverage while you still have it. Is now the time to sell? Again, you need to ask yourself why you want to sell. Inventory is starting to decrease, so you have less competition right now. However, prices haven't really started to increase a whole lot, if at all, depending on what market you're in or what neighborhood you're in. So you really have to determine why you want to sell. If you need to sell, you need to move. Maybe you need to be with family up north again, or maybe you've got relocated. I understand that. And so we have to determine why you want to sell. If you just want to sell, just try to get top dollar for your house, now is not the time. What homes are selling? The homes that are selling right now are the homes that are updated, the homes that have already had people go through. Maybe they're newer homes or they've been updated recently. The older homes, the homes that need a lot of work, are sitting on the market longer and they're not getting top dollar. Now, if you have an investment type property that needs a ton of work and you're willing to sell it for a lower price point, we are seeing investors come in and buy up some of those houses, and they are turning those houses. So if you have a house like that, certainly reach out to me as well, and I can connect you with some investors that can help you out with that. Now, it's really important to understand, if you do need to sell your house or you want to sell your house, strategic selling. We use artificial intelligence. We have intense market knowledge. We understand the market. We understand what's happening in the market, and we can instruct you or coach you on how to position your house properly, how to price it properly, we do all the marketing on social media. We also do the professional photos, the drone shots, all that great stuff that you see out there when you're looking at great listings. We do all that for our clients, the sunset photos, lots of great offers. And our goal is to get you the most exposure possible and price it correctly, because if you price correctly and you have it in the most amount of eyeballs, you're going to get top dollar for your house. So let's go ahead and get things rolling here. Thank you for joining my consultation, or thank you for joining my market update for Cape Coral, Florida for 2026. This is January 2026. The Cape Coral Gulf Access Canal's market update. Go ahead and book that complimentary consultation with me. We do a great strategy call. Just click that link below. It's a 30-minute call. If you don't know much about Cape Coral, or if you know a lot about Cape Coral and just have a lot of questions, let's dive in and take a look. I can then set you up on a custom list of homes that I can send you, so you can start to see exactly what it is that you're looking for and start to understand the pricing structure and what's happening here in Cape Coral. And then we can start to do the search. We have the out-of-town buyers program. Now, if you're looking at selling or buying, we have the out-of-town buyers program for you, where I can go over the property. If you find one that you really like, or if you do want to sell, and even though you're not here in the area, I can go over to the home and I can analyze it, put together a report for you so you know exactly what you're doing, whether you're selling or buying. And if it's something that you want to move forward, we do our video calls, we talk in depth, just like if we were sitting across from each other, and finding the right properties for you. So thank you so much for joining me. Look forward to chatting with you. My name is Barry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront Realtor, and this has been your Cape Coral Market Update for 2026. Have a great day.